reached towards the end of our event today with our last talk, which is with Himanshu. Let's have Himanshu on the screen. There he is. Good afternoon, Himanshu. I hope we did not keep you waiting for too long.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Digvijay. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good too.
So, Himanshu today is going to introduce us to this new state management library that has been built by Geeky Ants again, since Himanshu is a senior software developer here at Geeky Ants with us, which is called Sync State, if I'm right. Uh, as an
Yeah,
introduction, Himanshu has been a part of some of our major projects. He's been with us for a very long time. He's worked on endless things, but I think the most notable ones would be that he is the co-creator of Native Base, and that he is currently building and improving BuilderX IO daily. So that's that. Uh, anyway, Himanshu, I would leave you to our audience, and I would let you introduce them to Sync State, which is this new awesome state management library. So all the best and take it away.
yeah. Thanks for the introduction, Digvijay. So, hello everyone. I hope you all are having a good day. I'm Himanshu, and I'm a tech lead at Geeky Ants. I mostly do R&D stuff here. I love working on new ideas and products. Um, so, let's get started with the topic, state management with Sync State. I believe most of you probably haven't heard of it. That's because it's a new state management library that we at Geeky Ants built recently. I know you must be thinking, here comes another state management library. So if you just bear with me, I'll tell you why we came up with it. So we are building a design tool called BuilderX at Geeky Ants, and I have been working on it since its inception. Uh, it's just like any other design tool, except it gives you UI code for your screens that you design. There, we have been working towards this new feature which adds multiplayer functionality. So what that means is multiple users should be able to edit the same document simultaneously. So it's a really cool and useful feature that allows better collaboration. So I'll just show you how that works. So as you see, we see the cursor for another user here, and two users are designing at the same time. Yeah, so that's how it works. Okay, so we wanted to uh, build this feature for BuilderX, and after discussing a few ideas, we came to a conclusion that JSON patches would work best for this. So let's see what are JSON patches. So if this is a document and this is a patch which has operation add, path hello, value world. So if we apply this patch on this document, it modifies the document and adds a property called hello with value world here. And let's say we apply another patch and it again adds some value. Simple. Okay. So the patches, JSON patches can be used for data syncing across threads and multiple sessions. So that's why I say that it's easier to build this multiplayer functionality using JSON patches. So let's see how that works. So the same patch can be applied over two documents, and both documents will arrive at the same state after the application of that patch. Okay. So, but yes, that this multiplayer functionality comes with its own set of challenges. So the challenges are like one thing is there might be conflicting changes from different clients. So we have to resolve that somehow. And we also want the changes that are being made at the client to be responsive, that should be reflected at their design immediately. Uh, so we can't wait for an acknowledgement from the server. So sometimes when server says that this patch has been overridden or something like that happens, we have to reverse these patches at the client. So that is something that needs to be handled. And if we have a tree of objects and we reorder something, multiple clients are reordering simultaneously, or like someone is reordering and someone is changing some other property at the same time, that needs to be handled correctly. Also, each client has its own undo redo stack, so that needs to work independently. So these are a few set of challenges that we had to work on. I won't be going into the details of how you fix, how you solve these issues. For that, I would really want to recommend this article by Figma. They also have the same kind of feature, multi-pair feature. So they have written an article about how that works. Yeah, but uh, we saw that there was no out-of-the-box functionality that was available for us to use, and we built our own solution for this. And then we wanted to share this solution as an open source library. So uh, let's move ahead. Okay, so this open source solution should allow you to build multi-user real-time apps easily. That's what we wanted when we built SyncState. So it's an open source library. You can try it out, but it's still in beta. So I won't say it's production ready, but we have some basic use cases ready. Okay, and one thing I would like to say here is that we wanted to build SyncState as a general purpose state management library, and then add the functionalities like multiplayer and undo redo through plugins. So because we wanted to keep the core library light. Okay. So yeah, why build a new state management library for just for this functionality? So as I said, this feature would work best with JSON patches, and if we wanted to make the existing state management solutions work well with JSON patches, like it would require a bit of work. So we thought that a state management library which works entirely on JSON patches would help implementing this easily. Okay, so I think enough talking about it. Let's see some examples. I have also included the QR code here. It's a code sandbox example, so you can go ahead and scan it and check it out yourself. I'm going to show it right now. Okay, so let's start with the to-do example. Okay, so I just want to show you how to code, uh, how to write code using this library and like how it works, the basic things. So you import this create doc store functions and you provide some initial document to it, and yeah, the store is created, and then you have this provider which you import from SyncState React. This library is a helper for to use this use SyncState with React. Of course, you can use SyncState without React, but here I'm only going to cover how to use it with React. So yeah, uh, so provider is there to have the store in context, just like Redux does, so that the store is available to all the components. Okay, so let's move to this to-do app component. Okay, so we define this to-do path here, which is slash to-do. That's how JSON patch path works. So if you see in this document, to-dos is at the root level. So slash to do's will refer to this data here. Okay. And then we have this hook called use doc where you pass this path and then you get the data at that path and a setter function to modify that data. So I've just wrapped this in an add to do function. We are calling this function on the submission of this form. So yeah, you call the set to do function and you pass the callback to it, and that callback receives the to do's state, and then you can just mutate that as you require. Okay, so you must be thinking like where, but where is the JSON patch? Like this library is built on JSON patches, but you don't see patches anywhere here. So the patches are hidden with the help of emerge.js. So if you use this use doc hook and get a set doc function, you call it like this. So internally, what it does is the emerge.js provides you a draft state. So what happens here is when you're working on this, when this set doc callback receives doc, that is a draft state, and when you mutate that draft state, emerge.js gives you JSON patches for that. So we just dispatch those patches, and yeah, so sync state is based on Redux. So when I say we dispatch this patches, it's dispatched to our internal Redux store. So that's how it works. Okay. Uh, Before going to another example, I'll just show how we work with to-do items example. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So what you can see, I'm iterating over this to-dos array here, and then rendering the to-do item component. My cursor is not working for some reason. Okay. Okay. So this to-do item component receives the to-do item path. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you how that path gets passed around. So as you see, to-do path was slash to-dos, and then when we render to-do items, we just append slash index here. So to-do item receives that path, so something like to-do slash 0 for the first item, and then you use this hook and pass this path to get the to-do item and setting the to-do item. The same way we set to-do item, we can update the caption and complete it on this on change. Yeah, so that's how it works. I'll just show you. Yeah, okay. So I think that is simple enough. Let's move on to another example, the counter example. Okay, so um, now you see I'm not passing anything in useDoc hook here. Uh, that's because as you see our state is just count and it's initialized with 0. So we just wanted to fetch the root document here. So if you don't pass anything, we get the root document. And we have created this increment and decrement function where we do doc.count plus plus and same for the decrement. So yeah, it works. Okay, so let's move on to another example, counter example with undo. So as I said, we wanted to provide undo functionality to through plugins. So we have built, we have a basic implementation of this plugin. It's not really ready right now, but I'll show you how that works. So this example is the same as the previous one, uh, but we are also receiving this dispatch function from useDoc hook. Let's see what that dispatch does. So we can dispatch history.undo and history.redo actions here. So what it does is it just reverses the last patch, or it just reapplies the last patch. And yeah, I forgot to tell you that you also need to add that plugin in the plugin here in create doc store. Okay, so yeah, that's how it works. But if you have implemented undo redo with Redux, you might know that you store a snapshot for each state in Redux undo. And like whenever you want to go back or go forward in the history, you have to apply the whole snapshot, or you just have to replace that with the new state. But sync state history, which is a plugin for sync state, which manages undo redo, uh, it stores only the patches, and then those patches just need to be applied or reversed. Okay, so that brings me to document syncing example. Okay, so it's this one is just a basic example of how you can sync two different documents with sync state. Okay, so you see I've created two stores here, and I have two components, app1, app2. Let's say these are two separate counters, and both have their own provider, and I pass them their own store. Okay, so if you see, both counters are synced. Okay, so let's see how we sync that. Um, so we have this method called store.observe. So I'm observing some at root path. So whatever changes are being made at the root, I'm just observing those changes, and I receive this change uh, object in my callback. So that change contains the JSON patch that is generated. So I'm observing on store one, and I'm dispatching that to store two. So that's how I can apply the same patch that is generated in store one to store two. I'm doing the same thing for store two. I'm observing store two and applying to store one. So that's how they are kept in sync. Uh, yeah, so this was just a simple example to show how the document syncing works, but it's a step towards building a multiplayer functionality. While I don't have the uh, full uh, multiplayer functionality example ready on Code Sandbox, I'm going to show you something. Okay. So, yeah, multiplayer functionality is provided through a remote plugin in SyncState. It has two parts, a server part and client part. So the challenges that I told you earlier, which come up with this feature, that is implemented in the server part. Most of it is implemented in the server part, where we store the patches and we resolve conflicts, we resolve the reordering issues and all that. And on the client side, we have to handle the reversing of local patches when they are invalid, and the undo redo functionality that also needs to be managed with this plugin on client side. So I'll just show a basic code, working code of how that works. Okay, so I'm just adding this remote plugin here, and then I dispatch this remote.enable remote slash to dos. So what this does is in our document, it enables remote functionality for this part of the tree. So it doesn't affect filter or any other data that is present in the document. It only syncs to dos. So you can enable this for different parts of your tree as you like. So I just establish a socket communication here with the server. and from socket I receive an event where it says that the patches have been loaded, and I can just call set loading for this remote plugin, so that you can use this loading state in your UI for loading states, and then whenever a change is coming from socket, you can apply it through the remote plugin, and that remote plugin handles the reversal of patches and those things internally. So you don't have to do that. You just have to receive the change from the socket and provide it to remote plugin. And also you have to observe the changes to-dos path, and then you have to emit those over socket. So whatever changes are happening to to-dos, those are being emitted uh, uh, through the socket. And then the server part, I'll show you the server part. So when we receive the change, we have this remote plugin for server as well. So we send that change to remote first. We call this process change function. Again, this function handles conflict resolution and those things for you. And then it gives you a callback on change ready. So whenever it is ready, you can store your patches anywhere you like, your database or anything, and you broadcast those to other clients. So that's how this works. Um, I'll show you how that, like I have a basic running example. Okay, so I have opened this example in two tabs. So I'll add something here and let's see. Okay, so you can see this here too. Let's complete this to-do item, and it's completed here. So yes, we are able to sync the to-do items across multiple clients. That's how it works. And yeah, we are not done here. We have to go ahead and do some more things with this plugin. First, we have to make this stable and finish the undo, redo, and remote functionality. But also, we hope that it catches on, and like we can implement more things, more functionalities through plugins. We can also have REST and GraphQL plugins to seamlessly have fetching and updating of remote data with local mutations. And we can have more plugins for things like that is generally do with state management, like forms, API calls, or persistent storage. Yeah, so it's there on GitHub, and you can check out the documentation at syncstate.github.io. So this is the amazing team that has worked on BuilderX and also this library. Uh, yeah, go ahead, check it out. That's all from my side. Thank you all for listening. Back to you, Digvijay.
Hi again, Himanshu.
Hi.
Thank you so much for introducing us to SingState. I think everybody has a pretty decent idea now about what it does, and maybe hopefully, they'll go ahead and give it a go.
Yeah.
While we do have a question for you, so Albert Sebastian is asking, how is SingState different from the Recoil library, and what are both of these trying to solve? Especially, what is SingState trying to solve?
Yeah. So Recoil is is a different state management library. I would say that SyncState is different in the sense that we have built it keeping multiplayer functionality and undo redo features in mind, and so that we are able to like add these functionalities easily as plugins. So that's why we chose JSON patches as the core, uh, let's say, uh, the basis that we built upon here. Uh, so it's like slightly different from other state management libraries in that way.
Okay. And our own
Yeah.
keynote speaker, Shankadeep, is asking, does it have TypeScript support?
Yeah, not right now, but we would love to work on it, and like we would also like to have others for um contributing. And if Shankadeep wants, he can contribute too.
Well, we'll talk about that with him offline, I suppose.
Yeah.